It is a Thursday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. I am recording this September 22nd in the morning, Thursday morning. It is 6:57 a.m. And oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about because today is not only the day we recap yet another big win for the Guardians and look ahead to maybe a 3-game sweep of the White Sox tonight, but the Browns are back in action as well. They play the Pitch Puke Steelers tonight. Huge night for the city of Cleveland with the Steelers coming to town, and I'm excited about all of it. I'm excited about the Browns game. I'm excited about the Guardians game. I'm excited about the fact that the Guardians have pretty much locked up a playoff spot. I don't believe in jinxes and curses and any of that crapola. So let's go. Lot to get to on today's Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
All right, we are back. And I don't have time to mess around here. Let's go. There's plenty to get to, and we're going to start with baseball. Yes, today is game day for the Browns. We'll get to it, but we got to start with the Guardians yet again taking care of business against the Chicago White Sox or the Chicago White Frauds. And how about this? So the Guardians, we talked about this about a week ago. It's over a week ago at this point, The Guardians were starting a stretch where they're playing 9 games in 8 days against the White Sox and the Twins. And remember, they lost that first game. It felt like they kind of gave it away. They were facing Lance Lynn. What day was that? It was August 20. No, it wasn't August 21st. I don't know. It was September 15th. So yeah, actually, it was exactly a week ago. And that game, the Guardians brought up a kid from the minors, and it felt like they were giving away that game, and they lost the first game of this 9-day stretch. And I remember saying after that, just go 4-4. Just go 4-4, and everything's fine. And you hope for more, but I said 4-4. Well, since then, they've gone 6-1 with the 1 game remaining tonight. And who's on the mound? Shane Bieber. So you like your chances of getting a 7-1. You stuck the knife in the Twins and ended their season 1-4 or 5. And now the Guardians are pretty much doing the same. Even if somehow the White Sox salvaged this final game tonight, they are in terrible shape. The magic number is 7. When everybody else was saying 10 yesterday, I told you it was 9. I was right. Everybody's pretended to get on board with it and now saying 7 today because they were wrong yesterday, and nobody can admit besides me when they're wrong. Plenty of people do, but there you go. 6-game lead in the division, but all that matters is the number 7. Any combination of 7 Guardians wins and 7 White Sox losses, and they win the American League Central. They're going to win it. It's just a matter of time. They're playing great baseball. As I said, they've won 6 of 7. Right? Yeah, 6 of 7 since losing that first game to the White Sox. 8 of 10 overall. 3 in a row here. Big wins. The bats have been cooking. Steven Kwan is on fire. Ahmed Rosario's been on fire. Kwan got 3 hits and a home run. Naylor hit a home run yesterday. Unbelievable the way these guys, and I left out the best part. How about Tristan McKenzie? What a performance. He's been great against the White Sox this year. He was great yesterday. He is just absolutely dominated, and the way Bieber and McKenzie are cooking into the postseason here, you gotta love it. You gotta like their chances. Lance Lynn was terrible in this game. The Guardians, like they did the night before, worked the count, got on base, did a great job. They drew 4 walks in addition to the 11 hits. So they had 15 guys on base, not including errors. 15 guys earned their way on base and 43 trips to the plate. That's fantastic. It was great. And meanwhile, 0 walks for the Guardians. I thought it was a little odd that Tito brought in Karinchak in the 9th with a 6-run lead. I didn't love that, but he only threw 11 pitches. I guess no big deal. But McKenzie, sensational. 8 innings, gives up the 2 runs. Not much going against him. He gave up 1 run in the 4th. It was already 6-0 by then. He did give up 1 more in the 7th. Moncada hit the home run early, but not much. Just scattered 6 hits, 0 walks, 0, and 13 Ks, 100 pitches, even to get through 8 innings. Guardians pitchers The Guardians only threw a total of 111 pitches in this game. That's efficient, fantastic. Karinchak gave up the one hit in the ninth, but that was it. Great performance. I mean, what can you say? Everybody did their job. Everybody got at least one hit except for Jose, who drew a walk, and Hedges, who went 0 for 4. Everybody else got on base at least once. The middle of the lineup was great. Oscar Gonzalez, he knocked in a run, and we talked about it at the top. Kwan's just been fantastic. He's got the on base up to 375. It's the best on the team. Jimenez at 370. I mean, you got two guys 370 or higher and on base, and Jose's about 360. So they're doing a great job of getting on base. And the Guardians are playing. They're playing their best baseball of the year. And I know, it's still 2 weeks before the playoffs. Okay, I get it. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be a couple days where they're not going to hit that well. And maybe it's going to happen in the playoffs. Maybe we're going to all be depressed. I don't know, but I don't have that attitude. I love the fact that they're playing great baseball right now, that they're doing it all over the place. The lineup has been excellent. They're getting production from Miles Straw. How about Will Brennan? How about Will Brennan makes his major league debut and gets 2 hits? You got to love that. Made that great catch in right field early in the game when he's sliding. That was a tough play. That's a tough play. You're making your major league debut. You made out your first time up. It was the second inning of third. I can't remember, but he makes that sliding catch running towards the right field line. It's, your first time playing in a big league park. I could see that, a lot of guys will just keep running, maybe bang it to the side and run into the stands. But he just, he can't. I guess he can't with the Nets now. But he knew when to slide. It was a perfect slide. Made a great catch. It was a tough play. And this kid's a top prospect. I don't know. I want to see what he's got. I think they should play him a lot down the stretch. I kind of like I still don't love Jimenez batting 6th, but I'd like them to keep this lineup in terms of who's playing. Like, this is right now. He's sticking with Straw in center field. I was advocating, a month ago to move him out of the lineup and put Kwan in center. But the way he's played lately, I want to stick with him. So I like this right now. I like the outfield. I mean, with Kwan, Straw, and Brennan, who's, really a center fielder, you got 3. The Guardians are really strong defensively everywhere, except for first base. Naylor, at best, is average. He's improved, though. I give him his credit. He has improved as the season's gone along, and he's been a real producer, and I can live with that. Fine. But defensively, they're strong up the middle. The outfield is very strong defensively. We know that their catchers are here because they're good defensive players. Hedges, I've gotten off his back for the last couple of months. The guy's tremendous catcher. We know his limitations offensively. I'm sure he knows his limitations offensively. They are what they are. We're dealing with it at this point. But I like this setup. Naylor at first, Jimenez at second, Rosario at short, Jose at third. The outfield, Kwan, Straw, and Brennan. I want him to play. He probably won't play against the lefties. Probably against the lefties, they'll go with Gonzalez and right, and maybe and Naylor at DH and Owen Miller at first. But I really want to see what Will Brennan can do, because this guy has really just killed it in the minors consistently. And he's been like a 300 hitter for his career in the minors. Like the attitude. And again, loved that defensive play. I thought that was a real tough play. And the Guardians, man, when we've seen they have just taken the soul. They have stolen their heart. First the Twins, now the White Sox. It's like they've just destroyed the confidence of these teams. It's good to see, and I hope it continues into the playoffs, because, they are playing with such a high level of confidence right now that it's beautiful to watch them play. And Bieber going tonight. The White Sox had the edge, a huge edge in the first game of the series pitching-wise. Guardians win. Last night, Jay argued that the White Sox had an edge. I thought it was even. I guess with the veteran, of Lance Lynn, maybe you think they have a slight edge, especially at home. You would never have known it. Lynn was terrible, and McKenzie was fantastic. And now tonight, with Bieber going against the veteran Johnny Cueto, has been good. But Bieber, man, he's vintage right now. So I'm not, there's not many pitchers I'm taking against Bieber. Certainly not Cueto. So I like the Guardians. Guardians, to me, have a great chance to sweep tonight. What can you say? The team is playing beautiful baseball. They're well managed. Again, we see the great base running, the great hustle. This team, they have, like, everybody is a threat to take up extra base. They really don't have any, outside of the catchers, they really don't have any plotters in this lineup. They really don't. All the guys besides the catchers and Naylor is, not like Naylor's much of a stolen base guy. So he's not going to run a ton, but even he's stolen 5 bases this year. Like that they just have a team and he's a hustler. I'm not trying to diminish Naylor. Like, he's had a really good season, and he's been very productive. And even he, who doesn't look like the guy who can move, is not. He's not a total plotter out there. And the rest of the lineup, just a bunch of great athletes. Smart baseball. It's a smart team. It's an athletic team. Yeah, they're a little short on power, and maybe that's going to affect them at some point. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, how can you not love the way this team plays baseball? And I was really pumped. Yesterday I did the podcast, and even in my title, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to get more clicks for football when I talk about football. I know that." And yet everybody turned out, listened to the podcast, over 3,000 views. It was the most I've had for a podcast. Not the most I've had, period, but the most I've had for a podcast that was mostly baseball. So it was awesome to see. And I'm just all in on this team. And I hope they get the sweep tonight. And if they do, the magic number will be down to 5. And the Guardians, I mean, it would have to be one epic collapse. And I understand people get nervous when you talk about collapses. I get it. The Guardians continue to improve their chances of getting the 90 wins. They've been great at home. There's actually 7 games over 500 on the road and 8 games over 500 at home. So they've, got one of the best road records in the league. Now a season high 15 games over 500. They have 13 games left. Is my math correct? Yes, 140. They played 149. 13 games left. All they need to do is go 8-5 to win the division. They'll win the division with even a worse record than that. But 8-5 to win 90 games. They might win over 90 games now. They got one more game here with Chicago today. Then they go to a weekend series in Texas, and then they come home for their final 9. Hopefully the crowds will be big and people will be out there supporting them. 3 with Tampa, and then 6 straight with Kansas City. I think they're very likely going to win 90 games. They might even win more than that. And I'll tell you, I thought I was being optimistic, thinking they were going to be a 500 team at the beginning of the year. I underestimated the impact the young talent would have. Major kudos to Stephen Kwan, who will not win Rookie of the Year, but he'll be up there, and he is a tremendous young ball player. And just all around, I mean, Jimenez has had a magnificent season. Rosario got off to a terrible start. Like, I don't know when he turned it around exactly. Can't remember now if it was like early May, mid-May, late May, somewhere around there. He was He was having a terrible start to the season. And since then, he's been phenomenal. We know Jose does what Jose does. He leads, he hustles. He's just magnificent. He's a magnificent ball player, one of the best players in the game. The pitching staff led by Bieber has been fantastic. McKenzie's had a magnificent season. The bullpen's great. And here we go. And now we'll see who they play. They play the Mariners. They play the Rays. Or they play the Blue Jays. Right now it would be the Mariners. But that's not set in stone yet. Blue Jays have the first wild card, then Tampa. Mariners are only half game back at Tampa, so there's still a lot to be determined there. In Baltimore, 4 games back of the Mariners. Mariners have struggled here lately, but Baltimore hasn't played well either. Neither is Tampa. None of those teams are playing great baseball right now. Doesn't mean, again, it's the regular season and the postseason is a totally different animal. Doesn't matter what you did against one team. Doesn't matter how you're playing right now. Ultimately, you hope that the way the Guardians are playing, they can keep, carrying it into the playoffs, which start in 2 weeks. There's no guarantee. Everything starts over. But I just like their chances a lot. I think they can compete. I think Houston is the overwhelming favorite in the American League. They should be. They're the best team. They're the worst matchup for the Guardians. They're the worst matchup for every team. But if the Guardians wouldn't have to play them until the ALCS. But I think, and the Guardians would be an underdog, and it'd be hard to win that series. I get it. But it's baseball. Anybody could get some hot pitching, you got a chance in any week. This is not, the NBA where the underdog team rarely wins. And every other team, Toronto, Tampa, Seattle, and the Yankees, I think the Guardians match up well with those teams. Any of those teams can beat the Guardians, and Guardians can beat any of those teams. I'm not intimidated by any of those teams. The Astros are on the class by themselves in the American League, and I think the other 5 teams are pretty close. I really do, and I think the Guardians can compete, and I think they got a good shot to beat any of those teams. So I'm feeling great about this team right now, as I'm sure you can tell from my ranting and raving. All right, folks. Sleeper, fastest growing fantasy platform. Over 4 million plus users, 22 new features, including over-unders integrated into fantasy. The first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. Not only can you enter a contest via over-under itself, but you can also do so through your fantasy league's matchup screen. Super simple. Choose any sport. Pick the over-under. Doesn't matter what you want to do. You can wager what you want. You could win anywhere from 2 to 20 times the money you put in. You can join with your friends. You can talk trash. So download it now. Go to Sleeper over-under game. On your mobile phone, join the listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/lockedonbets, sleeper.com/lockedon today. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Again, go to sleeper.com/lockedonbets, sleeper.com/lockedon today. You get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Okay, let's get to the Browns. This is a huge game tonight, obviously. And the Browns and all of us are still licking our wounds from what happened with the Jets. But the Browns have hopefully, as players, have put this out of their minds. At this point, it doesn't matter what happened last week. You got to blow it off and move it, keep it moving, as my man G. Bush would say. Browns are a 4.5-point favorite tonight. I saw a stat from my man Cleve TA that of the Steelers' record. I got to look for this stat because, man, if you don't know Cleve TA on Twitter, he is like the stat guru, the analytics guru when it comes to the NFL. He is really good. A lot of respect for the guy. Here's the tweet he had this morning. The scariest thing about tonight has nothing to do with the actual players on the field. Mike Tomlin is 27-1 against the spread as a dog in the divisional games since 2007. That is pretty insane. And the Steelers have won the game outright in 16 of those 20 covers. However, he says 2 of the more recent non-covers came in Cleveland, so there's that. We all know Mike Tomlin's a great coach. We all know he keeps his team competitive. I look at the Steelers. I don't think they're a very good team. I watched, obviously, their entire game against the Bengals in week 1. I watched some of their game with New England last week. Didn't get to see all of it. But here's the deal with the Steelers. The reality is that we always think they're better than they are because they have a great coach and they have a great culture. And that's hard to beat down. They don't have the talent they once did. They have talent. They're not a terrible team. But clearly they're a team that's struggling offensively. And as soon as I say that, I say, well, the Panthers and Jets shouldn't be very good offensively. And we made the Panthers look good in the fourth quarter, and we made the Jets look good for an entire game offensively. What's happening? That's hard to explain. Although Tyvis Powell did a great job on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show yesterday of breaking down some of the breakdowns from the Browns and the lack of communication that the Browns have had in their secondary that have led to these awful breakdowns that have led to 5 big plays have been pathetic. And this has to change. The players-only meeting, I know Tyvis said to me yesterday and said on the show, he thinks the players-only meeting is gonna straighten up these communication issues. This is on the players. You can blame some on the coach, but a lot of it's on the players. And there's no excuse for poor communication. That must end this week. The Browns have way too much talent on this defensive football, and I'm going to blame the offense. The offense, the running game's been magnificent. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt have done their job. Jacoby Brissett in week 2 played as well as you can expect from him. He is a below-average quarterback, and he played better than that this past week. You can't expect more. You can't expect more from the offense than they did this past week. They did their job. The defense failed. The defense has been awful for the last 5 quarters. It's time to step it up. No more talking. We don't want to hear it. I don't want to see tweets. Go out there. Myles Garrett's playing. Denzel Ward, they have disappointed these first two games, but we love them. Everybody's going to cheer for them tonight. They need to go out there and kick ass. That's it. The over-under in this game is 38.5. My gosh. That is got to be by far the lowest over-under of the week. Well, not by far. The Giants and Cowboys on Monday night is 39. But it's rare to see an over-under these days below 40 points. That is very unusual. But that's what it is. Vegas thinks both these teams, these teams will not score much. These games are always pretty close. I'm leaning, in the end, I'll take the Browns with the 4.5. Although it wouldn't surprise me if this ended up being a 3-point game. I just got a feeling that the Browns have really been. Listen, not a feeling. The Browns have been beat up this week, and deservedly so. Their defense has been crushed. Nick Chubb had to apologize when he had nothing. He didn't have to apologize. Nick Chubb, because he's a great team guy, decided to apologize for not taking a knee. Some people blamed him. I think Kevin Stefanski should have had this game plan, but ultimately it was the defense that lost the game for them. I don't blame Nick Chubb at all. I never did. But I think Kevin Stefanski deserves some blame. But ultimately, Nick Chubb's been brilliant, and the defense has been crushed this week, and deservedly so. And I think they'll come out pretty ticked off. This game is really a referendum on the leadership of this team, whether it's the players on the defense, whether it's the coaching staff and Kevin Stefanski. They're at home on a short week. Steelers are on a short week too. They got to travel. I know it's not far travel from Pittsburgh to Cleveland, but they still got to travel. It's going to be cool fall-like weather there. The crowd is going to be, let's face it, wasted and pumped and crazy. They'll be at a fever pitch tonight. If the Browns win this game tonight, you'll feel okay. We hope that they could go 3-1 in these first 4 games. That's still alive. You're still in good shape if you win this game. We're gonna, if the Browns end up missing the playoffs by 1 game, we'll always look back at that Jet game. But you can't worry about that now. It's irrelevant. The Browns have to move forward. This game, if the Browns just cannot lose this game, because it's going to feel like the season's over. It's not. But it will feel like it, and the Browns' chances of making the playoffs are minimal if they lose this game. With the schedule they got coming up, starting in Week 5 with the Chargers, and then Week 7 through 11 with some of the tough matchups they have there, they cannot afford to give away another home game to a team that's not as good. The Browns are the better football team, and they got to go out there, and they got to prove it tonight, and I believe they will. I think Myles Garrett's pissed. I think Denzel Ward's pissed. I think they're sick of hearing how they've been a disappointment, how they choked, how they gave it away. Well, I think they're going to make Mitch Trubisky pay. Mitch Trubisky has been absolutely dreadful. We had, oh my God, I forgot her name now. Steelers. Wow, man. Brooke Pryor. Brooke Pryor. There you go. Brooke Pryor is a good reporter from ESPN. She was on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show yesterday, and she said, hey, the offensive line, which is bad, has not been quite as bad as we thought it would be. This is more on whether it's play calling or the quarterback. The Steelers have their own frustrations. They're arguing on the sidelines. Their wide receivers, including George Pickens, is a rookie who you think would keep his mouth shut. They're all out there talking about how they're open all the time. Trubisky can't get him the ball. He's not throwing the ball downfield. They can't run the ball because they're not run blocking well. Najee Harris has not done much. He had an injury before the season. So this is a vulnerable offense that's dealing with their own issues. And their best player is out on defense. Now, the Browns have a big defensive loss as well, as Jadeveon Clowney's not going to play, and that hurts because, he's the other bookend for Myles Garrett, and now this obviously allows the Steelers to completely focus on Myles Garrett, and it's going to be a challenge for Myles Garrett. He's going to probably be double-teamed consistently. I don't know why you wouldn't. He's the only serious threat on the Browns' defensive line, but obviously the Steelers are dealing with their own injury, even a much bigger injury than Clowney, because T.J. Watt is the straw that stirs the drink on that defense. If you watched any of the first week against the Bengals, he was wreaking havoc in that game. Now, the Browns have a better offensive line than the Bengals, but still, when you're missing your best pass rusher, it's a problem. That's a big loss for the Steelers. So, in my mind, they are an average to above average defense at best without T.J. Watt. They are just a terrible offense, and the Browns are at home. There is zero excuse. You can't have a letdown. It's a division game. We heard Leroy Hoard this week say, it's not just another game, man. And when I played the Steelers, it meant more. It meant more, and it should mean more. And especially the beating the Browns have taken this week, nationally and locally, deservedly so. They gagged one of the worst gags in the history of Brown, and there's been a lot of bad gags in the history of Cleveland, the history of the Browns, and that was, for a September game, it was as bad as you get. Again, over 2,000 games since a team had blown a 13 or more point lead in the final 2 minutes, and the Jets had no timeouts. We know it. Now it's time for the Browns to move on from it. It's really simple. They got to take care of business. They got to go out there and play like I described T.J. Watt against the Bengals. They got to play with their hair on fire. They got to play like, who is it that said, we got to play like a bunch of crazy dogs. That's how they got to play. They have to do it for 60 minutes. We've seen consistently in the Kevin Stefanski era, the Browns either giving up big leads or almost giving up big leads. It's happened consistently over the 3 years he's been the head coach. That's got to end. This has got to stop. We can't just hear after the postgame, it's a tough loss, blah, blah. Enough of this nonsense. Finish the deal, kick their ass, and let's go. Let's win a football game and let's move it on. Long break, and then you play the Falcons, and then we keep it going there. The game plan for tonight, I'll talk about it next, right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. Okay, so obviously the Steelers at times have been tough to run on because Cam Hayward in the middle is a load. Excuse me. But the Steelers can be run on. Again, this is not the same Steeler team. And the Browns' strength is running the ball. You stick with your strength. Jacoby did a good job last week. He got it going. He was very efficient. Week one, he was as inefficient as he could get. This past week against the Jets, it was the opposite. He was as efficient as I've ever seen him in his years in the NFL. We'd like to see that, but the key to winning this game is dominating on the ground and just chunk plays on the ground. We don't think about it on the ground, but yeah, Nick Chubb has that ability. Kareem Hunt has that ability. I would like to see them get back to using the two in the backfield together, which we saw a ton of in week one against the Panthers. We didn't see any this week against the Jets. I don't know why. Kareem Hunt shouldn't be out of the game for like 3 series. As much as I love Nick Chubb, and I don't want to see him out of the game, but Kareem Hunt should not be out of the game. There were times where you'd go a whole quarter and we wouldn't see Kareem Hunt. That's ridiculous. I don't understand what Kevin Stefanski's doing. You used him effectively on the field together in week one. Why did we completely go away from that in week two? So I'm hoping that we'll get back to that tonight, see them both on the field together. Kareem Hunt is a great player. Great player. He is yours. Amari Cooper's really good. I still think Kareem Hunt's a better running back than Amari Cooper as a wide receiver. But clearly, your three best skill position players on offense are Nick Chubb, I would say Kareem Hunt 2, and then Cooper 3. You could debate 2 and 3, fine. That's my opinion, okay? I got to have those 3 guys out there as often as possible, and I can't have Kareem Hunt on the sideline for 3 straight series. That's crazy to me. That's what happened last week. There's no excuse for that. Kevin Stefanski's got to wise up. Let's go. Let's get it right here. Get him out on the field more. Let's get him more touches. Nick Chubb's touches have been great. I want to give him more. That's fine. Amari Cooper had a big game last week. Obviously, they're going to try to focus their defense in the passing game on stopping him. We got to get some more contributions from other guys. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a good week 1. Last week, it was a non-factor. Same with Anthony Schwartz. They went to Njoku early, and then that disappeared. But the key to this game, obviously, is running the ball, stopping the run. I'm not worried about the Steelers' passing game. I know they have nice pass catchers, especially Deontay Johnson, who's excellent. The Browns, I say I'm not worried about the passing game, but that's what's killed the Browns the last couple of weeks is these miscommunications. I'm going to show some blind confidence. Not blind because my man Tyvis has talked me into it. He thinks they're going to shut down these communication issues. Let's hope he's right. All right, enjoy the game tonight. Remember, tonight, with 2 minutes to go in the game, join me, G. Bush, Mikey McNuggets, and Jeff Lloyd. We'll be on live at the 2-minute warning and take you through to the postgame, hopefully to celebrate a late-night win. But we will be on live tonight, even though it's a Thursday. Check out, obviously, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show this afternoon. Well, this morning and this afternoon from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. streaming live. There you go. Maurice Claret on the show today. Aditi Kinkawala on the show today. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to get the alerts for when the show is on. And you get the alerts for the postgame. And you'll get the alerts for my podcast, The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Check out the Locked On Browns podcast as well with G. Bush and Jeff Lloyd. Let's subscribe and hit the bell for that as well. Check out my Cameo. I'm getting tons of Cameo requests these days. I'm cursing people out, doing whatever they want me to do. It's a lot of fun. And check out my website, adamthebull.com, for more. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully celebrating wins by both the Guardians and the Browns. Where else but right here in the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.